Right. Hello all. Now we'll discuss the court of record. So what is the meaning of court of record? So the judgments and the proceedings and the acts of a high court are recorded for perpetual memory as well as for testimonies. So meaning these things are recorded for future proceedings. They are used as a precedents to deliver the judgments in future. So that's why they are called as a court of record. And these records have evidentiary value. That means that these judgments can be provided as an evidences during the process of trial. Okay. And these cannot be questioned when produced before any subordinate court because they have to follow the court of record. They are recognized as a legal precedents, as I said, and legal references to deliver the judgments. And the High Court has the power to punish for contempt of court, either with a simple imprisonment or with a fine or with both. Okay, that is the point. And the expression contempt of court hasn't been mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. However, this expression has been defined by the Contempt of Court Act 1971. Okay, so according to this act, contempt of court means the contempt may be civil or criminal. Okay, so civil contempt means willful disobedience. Note this point: willful disobedience to any judgment or order, writ or other processes of a court. Okay, or willful breach of an undertaking given to a court. So it is called as a civil contempt. Okay, and the criminal contempt means publication of any matter or doing an act which scandalizes or lowers the authority of court. What is the meaning of scandalization? So scandalizing means degrading the dignity of the court and trying to influence the people in order to move violently against the court is called as scandalization. Okay, and also prejudices or interferences with the due course of judicial proceedings. So prejudices or interference with the due course of judicial proceeding means with a negative intentions, with a bad opinions. If a person or an organization interferes with the due course of judicial proceedings, it is considered as a criminal contempt. Okay, and also if a person or organization interferes or obstructs the administration of justice in any other manner. Okay, these three aspects come under criminal contempt. Okay, however, innocent publication. What is the meaning of innocent publication? That means we can criticize the judgments of the Supreme Court in a constructive way, in an appropriate manner. You know, such type of criticisms, such type of dissents against the judgments of the High Court are entertained. They won't be considered as a contempt of court. Okay. So as a court of record, a high court also has the power to review and correct its own judgment or order or decisions. Okay, even though no specific power of review is conferred on it by the Constitution. That means Constitution hasn't been mentioned about the reviewing of judgments of the High Court by itself. Okay, however, the court of record, as per the court of record, a high court also has the power to review and correct its own judgment. Okay, and the Supreme Court on the other hand has been specifically conferred. You have to note this point. That means the power to review its own judgments is explicitly mentioned or given to the Supreme Court, whereas this power to the High Court hasn't been mentioned in the Constitution. However, as a court of record, the High Court can review its judgments, meaning it can change its judgment or it can add something to its previous judgments, right? Yes. Now we will look into the power of judicial review. So what is the meaning of judicial review? We discussed about judicial review in our previous classes. So let me explain again. Judicial review means examining the orders or the acts passed by the executive and legislative authorities is called as judicial review. So while performing judicial review, the Supreme Court or any court examines whether the provisions of the law are in line with the Constitution or not. Yes or no? So the power of judicial review is given to the Supreme Court as well as the High Court. By using this power, both the High Court and Supreme Court can review the laws made by the central government as well as the state governments, right? If an examination, by examining a particular law, if the court found that those laws are violative of the Constitution, they are considered as null and void, or they are declared as illegal or unconstitutional. So here, what is the meaning of ultra vires? Ultra vires means if any provision of the law is the violative of the Constitution, it is called as ultra vires. Okay. So after declaring such laws as invalid, they cannot be enforced by the government. So this is the power of judicial review. Okay. And the strange thing here is the phrase judicial review hasn't been mentioned in any part of the Constitution. However, Article 13 and Article 226 explicitly confer the power of judicial review on a High Court, right? So the constitutional validity of a legislative enactment or an executive order can be challenged in the High Court on the following three grounds. That means, based on these three grounds, we can challenge the act of a legislature or an executive in the court. What are those grounds? The law infringes the fundamental rights. If the law infringes the fundamental rights, so based on these grounds, we can lodge a complaint. If the law is outside the competence of the authority which has framed it, based on this ground, we can lodge the complaint for judicial review. Okay. If the law is repugnant to the constitutional provisions, meaning if the law is not in accordance with the constitutional provisions, if the law is against the constitutional provisions, the complaint can be lodged in the court for judicial review. That means judicial review can be initiated based on these three grounds only. Okay. However, as we discussed in our earlier lectures, Supreme Court in Maneka Gandhi case enhanced or expanded the scope of judicial review, because in that judgment, the Supreme Court of India introduced the concept called due process of law. Okay. If you want to have more information on due process of law, please visit my previous videos. Okay. And the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 curtailed the judicial review power of High Court. And of course, we do know that a famous case called Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan case. In that case, Allahabad High Court declared Srimati Indira Gandhi as convict. Okay, she was convicted in that case. Okay, so in order to surpass the judgment of the Allahabad High Court, she made 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. She made, in the sense, the Parliament had enforced 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. So this act kept the high courts from reviewing the election disputes with respect to Prime Minister, etc. Right? So, this Constitutional Amendment Act debarred the High Courts from considering the constitutional validity of any central law. That means this Amendment Act says that High Courts are no more empowered to examine the laws made by the central government. Okay. However, the 43rd Amendment Act of 1977 restored the original position. What is that original position? The High Court is empowered to review both central laws as well as the state laws. And of course, in few judgments, Supreme Court held that the power of judicial review is the part of basic structure of the Constitution. Therefore, this judicial review cannot be taken back by a constitutional amendment. Okay. So, dear students, we have completed the discussions on the jurisdiction and the powers of the High Court. So, if you have any doubts, please mail me. Okay. Thank you very much.